Hey everyone, Tesla Cybertruck is finally out and it's finally available for customers to buy. So in this video, I'm going to provide my predictions for Tesla Cybertruck sales and profits in 2024. Now you might be surprised by my predictions given some of the estimates that I've seen out on YouTube and out on other social media forums. You might be shocked at my projections, but remember, my numbers are not coming out of thin air. I'm not just making up numbers. I'm going to go through where I'm basing my assumptions from, and most of that information is coming straight from Tesla. So I'm going to take information from Tesla, what Elon Musk has said, and I'm going to create assumptions and estimates based on those projections. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, of course, Elon Musk was asked in its third quarterly conference call with analysts, how many Cybertruck deliveries do you anticipate for 2024? And after giving a 2-paragraph explainer about how difficult it is to ramp up production of this Cybertruck, Elon Musk says, I think we'll end up with roughly 250,000 Cybertrucks a year, but I don't think we'll reach that next year. I think we'll probably reach that sometime in 2025, and so probably not even in 2025. So 250,000 is just out of the picture for 2024, not even close. Okay, so that sets the ceiling, and we're going to work with numbers below that because even Elon Musk, straight from his mouth, saying that they're not going to deliver that many in 2024. And if you followed Elon Musk over the years, you know that he's not an underestimator, right? He doesn't say if he thinks it's going to be 100,000 units in 2024, he doesn't say 100,000. He says like 175,000, right? He's more of a under promise and under deliver type of CEO rather than an under promise and over deliver type of CEO, right? The Cybertruck is already years behind schedule, and the metrics and the performance is below what people were expecting, below what he mentioned would be available, right? Especially pricing. So we'll take that information, what we know about Elon Musk and the amount of hype he likes to provide this type of release, this type of launch. Okay, so that's one piece of information. The next piece of information we're going to take is the average selling prices, right? So there's the estimated price for the all-wheel drive at $79,990 and the Cyber Beast at $99,990, and it takes $250 to make a deposit so that you can be on the list when these are available to configure. You'll get the notification to configure. Now, these are estimated prices. If it turns out that customer demand for these Cybertruck is lower than expected, you can see these prices fall lower. You can see these prices fall lower. Tesla has not been shy about lowering prices to increase demand. It seems like the strategy at Tesla is to sacrifice profit margin so that you can increase units sold. So for that reason, we have these two prices, but we also know that these are estimates, and we know that Tesla has lowered prices significantly across their vehicle models in 2023. So we can take these numbers and we can also include a probability of lower prices when these things start to come out and start to be available for delivery. The other thing we're going to look at is capacity. What's available for Tesla to produce, right? What manufacturing capacity do they have? And here, Cybertruck, this is the most recent update. Cybertruck has a little over 125,000 unit capacity to produce. That's the maximum. That's the maximum, right? And that would be the company operating at full scale and sales to be at full scale, right? So customer demand fully harnessed and production fully harnessed. That's a bit of an unrealistic assumption, but we're going to use that because that's what's available, right? I'm going to use that in my assumptions as the max rate, the best case scenario, 125,000 unit output. Okay. A few more things we're going to look at for estimate. The company's gross profit margin, 17.89% in the most recent quarter, 17.89%. This number has been falling significantly due to rising costs and Tesla's price cuts. So, nevertheless, we'll use the 17.89%. I rounded it up to 18% as an assumption figure for our estimates in 2024. Finally, Tesla delivered 19 billion in total gross profit in the trailing 12-month period. 19 billion, okay? We'll use that figure as well. All right, now that we have the information provided from Tesla, let me go ahead and share with you my estimates. All right, so I've created a scenario analysis here for Tesla's Cybertruck production, revenue, and gross profit in 2024. Now, I mentioned that the units, maximum 125,000. So this is the best case scenario here at 125,000 unit output. And I put the worst case scenario at 75,000 unit output. And remember, Tesla's strategy for 2023 has been to sacrifice profits in exchange for increased units sold. So we're going to keep that in mind when we're calculating these assumptions. Average selling price, I looked at 85,000. I suspect that a greater percentage of sales is going to happen at the lower price model and a smaller percentage of sales at the higher priced model. And I also included some probability here for price cuts in 2024 because I doubt that these prices are going to stay the same given the significant price cutting across Tesla's other models, right? So that's why I included an 85,000 average selling price, an 80,000 average selling price, and a 70,000 average selling price, which is significantly lower than what they have available right now, the estimates for the average selling prices. So this would be a really, really worst case scenario here, not only lower unit production, but also at much lower prices, okay? And then I've got three different scenarios for gross profit. The company's gross profit margin was 18% in the most recent quarter, so I had one scenario using the overall company gross profit margin. But it's unlikely that the Cybertruck will deliver 18% gross profit margin in its first year of production because it's not yet at scale. The company has not yet learned how to produce these products at scale. There's going to be a learning curve and there's going to be diseconomies of scale to begin with. So that's a highly unlikely scenario. Nevertheless, I included it in there as the ceiling, as the most best case scenario. And then I've got two others at 10% and at 5% gross profit. Also, I know Tesla stock investors are not going to be happy to hear this, but it's going to be very possible that Tesla in 2024 delivers a negative gross profit margin in the Cybertruck, a negative gross profit margin, because there's been a lot of news about how difficult it's going to be to produce these vehicles at scale. Elon Musk himself has complained and said that the truck is not likely to deliver profitability until 2025 or beyond. So it's very likely, given all the information we have, that Tesla's Cybertruck will be negative gross profit in 2024, but I'm not including that scenario. The lowest I'm going here is at 5% gross profit. So now let's look at what results that delivers. So in the best case scenario, with 125,000 units sold at an 85,000 average selling price with an 18% gross profit margin, the Cybertruck will deliver 1.9 billion in gross profit for Tesla. Keep in mind, Tesla's total gross profit in the previous 12 months was 19 billion. So even in the best case scenario, the Cybertruck is not going to be a meaningful contributor to the company's overall profitability in 2024. Still, that's the best case scenario, a scenario that I would assign a very low probability to. The probability of this scenario of 1.9 billion in gross profit contributing from the Cybertruck in 2024, I would assign personally a less than 5% probability. There's a less than 5% chance, in my opinion, that Tesla meets these projections here at 18% gross profit and at 125,000 units. Okay. Then you have at 10% 1 billion and at 5% 531 million. These scenarios are a lot more likely, and I would say the gross profit at 5% with the 125,000 units is much more likely than any of the other two scenarios. This scenario is much more likely than any of these others. The reason being that I know Tesla wants to maximize unit output, and they're willing to sacrifice profit margin in order to increase units sold, with the hopes that sometime later down the road they can make that up by selling software or insurance or other services. So this is the 531 million is much more likely than the 1.9 billion. At 100,000 units sold and 80,000 average selling price, the gross profit maximum is 1.44 billion. Again, a scenario. All of these scenarios at the 18% gross profit margin, I would assign a very low probability to. Less than 10% probability I would give any scenario with the gross profit at 18% because it's the first year of production. It's very difficult to hit your company gross profit in a new product in its first year of production. At 10%, it offers 800 million, and at 5%, 400 million. This scenario at 400 million gross profit, I would say, is the most likely scenario. The average selling price of 80,000 is right about where the lower priced Cybertruck is right now. So even including some price cuts, you can still hit an average selling price of around 80,000. And producing 100,000 units is more realistic than 125,000 because 125,000 would be at your maximum output. Like, imagine how many things have to go right for you to produce at your maximum output all year long. So I think that's unlikely. Even if you want to, even if you're willing to sacrifice profit margins to hit that, I think it would be unlikely. 100,000, however, nearly 80% capacity, that's more realistic, and the lower profit margin at 5%. So I would say this scenario here at 5% gross profit margin with 100,000 units sold at 400 million gross profit contribution is the most likely scenario. This worst case scenario, I would say, is less likely because you have not only do you have much lower output at 75,000, but you also have a lower average selling price at 70,000. And even at this one, your gross profit at 5% would contribute 262 million. I would still assign a higher probability to all of these worst case scenarios than I would for these best case scenarios. I would assign a higher probability here. Just given what we know about the market, the falling consumer demand for electric vehicles, higher interest rates, macroeconomic uncertainty, and all of the challenges that Elon Musk has highlighted with expanding production of the Cybertruck. So my base case scenario is something between a gross profit margin break even or contribution of about 250 to 300 million. So somewhere between 0 and 300 million gross profit contribution from the Cybertruck in 2024 for Tesla. Now, I know that might be shocking to some of you that have seen some of these projections come out where the Cybertruck is going to be the thing that lifts Tesla's stock price in 2024. But I think those are really rosy predictions, and you have to really take into consideration where those projections are coming from. There's a lot of Tesla stock cheerleaders on YouTube that just like to hype up Tesla and just mention and present you all the best case scenarios and how things are going to be excellent and great. I've never been a Tesla stock cheerleader. I've had the stock rated between a hold and a buy for the last couple of years. I've rated the stock as a buy when the valuation and the metrics made sense. And then when the valuation got too expensive, I brought the stock rating back down to a hold. Right? So I'm not a Tesla cheerleader. I'm not a bull. I'm not a bear. I just look at the facts and present the information. I change my recommendation when the facts change, when the valuation changes, when the metrics improve. I change my recommendation. I look at the numbers, right? So I don't need to be one way or another. So there you have it. Those are my projections for Tesla Cybertruck in 2024. Thank you for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. I know there's a lot you could be doing with your time and a lot of other videos you could be watching. So I truly appreciate that you chose to watch this one. If you want to see more videos just like this, hit the subscribe or the like button. They'll both help me make more videos just like this one. Thank you again.